it is over. With 4 rounds to go, ladies and gentlemen, the open section of the FIDE candidates is surely over and finished. There were 3 draws today, and by gosh, did he do it again. Javokhir Sindarov did it again. We will look at the women's section in just a moment. It is far more interesting. It is far closer than what is going on in the open section. 1 game from there, Javokhir Sindarov versus Praggnanandhaa Rameshbabu. Sindarov started the game with the move d4. We had knight to f6 from Prague. c4, e6, inviting a Nimso Indian or a Queen's Indian. We get knight to f3. Prague here could play a lot of stuff. He can play d5. He can play b6. He elects to play d5. Now we get knight to c3. And what we get is a Queen's Gambit declined with a bishop to b4. Takes, and now e3. And there is surely no way this game ends very quickly. It's, a very symmetrical structure. Black puts early pressure, and Prague goes for g5. This is a declaration of war. This is what Prague does. Last year at the candidates, he rocked up. He played very interesting, very aggressive stuff. He's doing the same year. And this year may not be his year, but I could see Prague winning the candidates in the future. He plays very dynamically, very aggressive. It's really awesome to watch. Bishop to g3, and now h5. And now what do? A tactical sequence is going to have to ensue. So we get bishop to d3 after Sindarov spent some time, and h4. What do? Your bishop is trapped. There is nowhere you can go. The only safe square is here, and I will play f3. And then what? So we get bishop takes knight. That was Sindarov's idea. And after takes, I can take with the queen and give you a check and force you to f8. Both players now on their own. We get bishop to e5. This isn't quite the same thing. You can't really play f6. It's what's played, but there's a way to get out. Knight takes g5. There are still some games in the database, and they ended in draws. One of them features Ariantari. Both pieces hang. This knight is still pinned to the king. However, Prague's king is about to get a serious wake-up call. He has to take something. He takes the knight, removes it, and then elects to do this. Doesn't take either piece with the pawn, elects to play knight takes e5. However, this pawn takes e5, and you can still take my knight. It is still there to get. And here, Javokhir Sindarov plays a move no one really considered. He's down a piece, clean piece. You can see black has got a bishop. However, the king is very weak. And you can always fork some pieces. And this rook is not yet in the game. You have got very quick lines to both players. So he plays the move f4. And there is a sequence here where he plays only moves to not be lost. He is on the edge of a tightrope. He has to play like at 100% accuracy. Because after h3, there is rook to d1, which hits the queen. Queen to e7. Now g3. Now g takes f4. Now the only move for him is what he plays. He plays short castles. Rook to h6. Now rook takes f4 check. King slides over to g3. Now we double the rook. Again, the only move. Rook fd1, the only move. And bishop d7. He's winning. And it's hard to understand why. Bishop d7 is wrong because the rook can get to f7. The best move, it's harder to play, but you have to play bishop e6 because it defends f7. And the reason it has to defend f7 is because I'm going to play rook f7, and you have to sack your queen. You have to sack your queen. So Prague sacks his queen, and now, again, only moves from Sindarov, because if Prague can consolidate, he's got 2 rooks, bishop for queen. That is enough material to win this game. He's up 2 points. So we have to give a check. First f4 check, correct way to go. And in this move, g5 check. So that you can go and you can pick up the bishop. And 28 moves. Javokhir Sindarov is winning. Well, he was winning after 22. In fact, he was probably winning before then, but the engine could still defend it. 51 minutes versus 28. He's also got 20 minutes extra on the clock. I mean, Prague has to play this out as much as he can. But, we get to this point where I'm going to harass your rooks and I'm going to try and promote a pawn. So I pick up one of the pawns with check. And the thing is, this endgame is always really difficult to play because the two rooks can team up on pawns and the queen can't defend them. But if Prague trades the two rooks for the queen back, he has to do so in an endgame that he can draw. In a king and pawn endgame he can draw. And most of them he can't. He will lose in the king and pawn endgames. So, Sindarov picks up another couple of pawns, gives a check, and, Prague does his best to activate his rooks. Just also here, this key move at some point, with the checks coming in. He brings his king up. We get a5. He comes all the way in here, and very key, plays e4. And now, you can take here, but there is this move, check. And what will happen is, let's say you go back, I will trade the queen for the two rooks, and I will end up 3 versus 2, and I will win the king and pawn endgame. So for that reason, we had all of this with e4, and he chose to play b5. b5 is not as good, but this is so hard. He looks to push the pawns. It's the only way he's going to create counterplay. But Sindarov just marches the a-pawn, continues to harass, and gets this check. And Praggnanandhaa had enough, and he resigned. Reason being, this is a terrible position, firstly. Because if you go here, there's a few things I can do. Firstly, I can probably push this pawn. Maybe not, because there isn't this check, by the way. Because, oops, I pin you to your queen. And then you're in problems, because you're not going to win this. You're going to lose this. So you've got to be very careful how you do this. But Javokhir Sindarov wins, and has got a huge lead in the candidates. It was down to 1.5 points yesterday. I believe it is now, 2.5 points? Or 2 points again? Absolutely incredible. In the women's section, there were 2 decisive results, both relevant to the top of the standings. Divya Deshmukh, she played Aleksandra Goryachkina. And this game was balanced for a while. It was a Spanish. It was, closed Spanish, and they did stuff. They played typical Spanish stuff. We had, this variation with c5, which I can't remember what it's called because I thought it was Briar, but Briar is actually where you go here and then you go backwards. So I'm not sure what this position is called. I think it's very similar to the Zaitsev system. Now we get queen c2 and the knight comes in, and it's typical Spanish stuff. White commits to the move d5, which is always interesting. The bishop gets pushed back. And, if you could take away the e4 pawn, White might actually be quite happy because they've got 2 bishops, and you could, go full Garry Kasparov and try to win this position. But it's not easy as my arrows are stuck on the board. I think the website's freezing again, which is mildly disappointing because it froze earlier while I was recording. This is the second attempt. So we'll give it a moment. But if it is completely frozen, I'm going to be upset. Let's see if I can switch. I think Chrome is the problem. Maybe I can switch browsers, but then the thing's going to be off. Yeah, Microsoft Edge is not responding. Okay, so what if we switch? Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. Bishop e3. Perfect. Anyway, so we can continue. Rook fc d8, and now the queen comes here. And, Black has amassed everything they want on the c-file. This is quite locked. Their bishops are quite passive, but what can White do? That is the thing. How is White going to make progress? Because they allow now Black to have 2 bishops, but in exchange they've got their both knights here. They've got, half control of... They're fighting for control of the c-file, and they've got these 2 pawns in their sights and a pretty good-looking bishop controlling this diagonal. We get queen b7, and how does either side make progress? We trade off a set of rooks and now take the c-file again, but, at some point, Black can just fight back for it. We get now this pawn trade with f4, but check. King slides over, and now rook e8, and this is weak, because you can't push it forward. I mean, you might have to, but you're going to lose this, because knight takes. So, tactics now ensuing. Bishop takes d6, knight takes, which hits a bishop and queen, but I can take, and now queen d3 pins, but we get f5. Now knight to f3, queen a8. I can't explain queen a8 to you. Bishop c7 looks for a trade, but I get in the way. With rook c4, takes, hits the queen. I take, defending my bishop, and we get into this endgame. Divya is up a pawn. She's up a pawn for now. Queen takes d5, and she's going to have to try and win this 2v1, which is not easy. She's also got bishop versus knight, and the bishop is very good because it can play on both sides of the board. I don't know where this knight goes long term, is the thing. Like, the bishop could make a home here and fight for a lot of key squares. Will just be continuously defended. So we play b3. Now bishop c6, king h2, queen e4, queen d6, bishop e7. You always want to keep eyes on the bishop, or be able to deliver checks, or eyes on the pawn to keep black honest. So we have queen e5 and now bishop d5, and Divya allows the queen trade to go into this bishop versus knight endgame. Now, if you snap take the knight, you probably lose because I push through here, unless you can, sack the pawn. But I can push through here and create the passed pawn and race it down the board, and while your king goes over there, mine comes in here and wins all your stuff. So you've got to be very careful. So for that reason, we play knight d2, bishop d5, and now a3. And we've created the passed pawn. And what's also good is this pawn is frozen on a dark square, so it cannot be touched. There is an anchor post here, but that ain't going to do anything for now. b5, king f6, b6, king e6, knight c4. Look at that. Very fancy. If you take, I push and I promote. So king d7, check, come forward. And, how are you going to continue to make progress? Check. I've now caught... Oh, no. Divya blunders it all in the endgame. It raced. Anyway, Divya blunders it all in the endgame. She plays here g3, which allows takes, and it gets blundered back, and knight b2 is wrong. The winning move here is hard to find. I thought so. It's 95 check. Which is hard, because you're like, well, I give away the pawn. But now, if I'm not mistaken, I can, get in here. Here, and then how do you defend this? I think this is the idea. Nope, this is winning for black. What was the idea of the 95? King takes b6. h4 is the idea. G takes h4. King takes h4. Now king b5. King h5. King c4. Knight d3 check. King d4. Knight b2. Something like this. And wins. I don't know. Anyway, knight b2 was played, which was wrong. And Divya goes on to lose the game, and Goryachkina picks up the victory for herself. In fact, I don't even think this was the last move played. I think this was just putting the king on the square to show that black won. The only other decisive game in the women's section was this one, Bibisara versus Zhu Jiner. Anish Giri and Vaishali Rameshbabu played to a draw. So if Zhu Jiner wins this, she will take the solitary lead. And she played a very solid system here with the black pieces. But Bibisara is a very attacking player. Very attacking. We had a queen trade, which resulted in black having these split pawns. And huge activity for white. Huge activity. Black is still very, very passive. So you've in order to play solidly, you've got to play, a very difficult position. And we could have a repetition here, but we don't. Queen b8 is what is chosen instead. We trade off the light squared bishop. And so we're left with bishop versus knight again. That's what we've been left with again, as the website is trying to freeze for another time. And Spotify's trying to open, which is interesting. But just looking at this position visually, you can see white has the weakness on d4. Black has the weakness on c6 and potentially a5. And white has b2 as a potential weakness, particularly because it's in range of the dark squared bishop and the queen. If d4 ever falls or gets pushed forward, and the knight can get a good outpost, but there could be some tactics against it because it would be relying on that d4 pawn. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just trying to see what happens here. Interesting stuff. Just going to wait for the website. Yeah, so... Oh dear. Wat gaan aan? Okay, let's see. Seems like it says it will start again now. I don't know why it does this. If someone can provide me with some technical explanation, I would appreciate it. I've got no idea why it does this every time recording. I think it's because I've got the engine on for this game, but like I keep turning the engine off, so I've got no idea why the engine it affects it so much. But when I turn it off, it seems not to. So we shall see. Hopefully, I'll just remember to turn it off before we start games, because it seems to be that's the reason. I don't know if it just causes too much strain on the memory of my computer, or if I need to change the settings. Maybe it's calculating too deep and it's drawing too much RAM. I mean, which is cool, but not when you're trying to record a YouTube video. How have you guys been enjoying the recaps so far? I hope they've been good and they've been informative. I know lots of people do them. Computer's back. Anyway, let's turn the engine off. Oh. Reset. Okay. Turn the engine off. So G3 played by white. Now rook b6, queen c3, continues to defend, rook d5. Black has got a lovely position here. Now we get knight to c5, h5, h4, and what can you really do? You can see there, white picks up the pawn on a5, but I take on d4, and I undermine the defense of the knight. So where is the knight going? Well, we can play b4. But now, rook b5, what are you doing? Slide back, okay. Queen e8. And just around here, the engine really starts to like white's position, particularly after rook e5. Now, you've got to be very careful, because I am threatening to win your queen. So you've got to defend that. So king g2 does just that. Now, rook e1, queen f3, rook b8, a4. Just going to stop pushing my pawn. a5. Oh, rook d5, okay. Come back. Knight d3. Oh, you're going to start targeting my pawns? What about rook e2? I hit your queen. Queen slides over. Now I can go back. Put pressure. That is weak. It can't go forward. This is well defended, and this is not moving anywhere. The knight is a beautiful blockader. So what are you doing? Oh, rook a3. Lovely idea. Fantastic. You're going to put pressure on my knight. It's an inaccuracy. The best move is king h7, because rook takes c6. I win the... Oh, you come back. Rook takes. Pawn takes. Knight f to c5. Bibisara Assaubayeva is completely winning. Rook d1, knight to b3. You go back to d3. I centralize with queen e4. You go here, and now I go queen b7. This pawn is promoting. I don't know how you stop it. Here, queen c6. Continue to ask me. I give you a check, and now I play b5. You give me check. I slide over to h2. Rook d1. It looks like I have blundered checkmate. Oops, I get in the way. And you can't you can't trade queens. So I march the queen down. Check, check. It looks like you have got me. It looks like you've got me. You've got in. No, you don't. King g2. Oh, you're going to continue? I promote a second queen. Because when you take, I play king f1. You've got absolutely nothing. Check. Rook f2. You can pick up my knight, but I check and I mate you. And Bibisara Assaubayeva wins. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, Vaishali Rameshbabu leads the women's section by half a point. It's going to break the board just slightly. But to go and look at the standings, she has a full, I believe it is 6 points out of 10. There are 2 players tied in second. Zhu Jiner, who lost today. So if she had drawn her game, she would have been tied for first, but she loses, so she goes down. She's tied with Anna Musachuk, who drew Vaishali, if I'm not mistaken. Then it's Goryachkina, Bibisara, and Katerina Lagna, all on 5, so a full point behind Vaishali, half a point behind second place. Just behind them is Divya, Deshmukh on 4.5, and Tanjoni on 3.5, continuing to accumulate points right at the bottom of the standings. And that is how everything stands after 10 rounds at the FIDE Candidates. Javokhir Sindarov has got it all but wrapped up. The women's section is still very entertaining, still very exciting. A few missed chances in the men's section, I would say. A couple of players had better positions but couldn't really convert into anything meaningful. But yeah, Javokhir Sindarov does it again. And he's just going to challenge Gukesh, isn't he? I don't think anyone can stop him with 4 rounds to go. He could just make draws. It's utterly ridiculous. But I will see you tomorrow. No? 2 days' time for round 11. Tomorrow is a rest day and we'll be PogChamps 6-7. Cheers.